بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، وأفضل الصلاة وأتم التسليم على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. اللهم علمنا ما ينفعنا وانفعنا بما علمتنا وزدنا علما. اللهم لا سهل إلا ما جعلته سهلا، وأنت تجعل الحزن إذا شئت سهلا. سبحانك لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا، إنك أنت العليم الحكيم. أسأل الله تبارك وتعالى أن يجعل نياتنا خالصة لوجهه الكريم. I praise Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala. I ask Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala to send countless blessings and salutations on Sayyidina Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam, his family, his companions, and all those who follow them in excellence until the day of judgment. And I ask Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala to grant us sincere intentions and righteous deeds and noble states. Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala said in the Quran, إنما المؤمنون الذين آمنوا بالله ورسوله ثم لم يرتابوا وجاهدوا بأموالهم وأنفسهم في سبيل الله أولئك هم الصادقون. Allah mentioned in the Quran that the real believers, the true believers, are those who believe in Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala and His Messenger and never doubt. Thereafter, they never doubt. They struggle with their wealth and themselves in the path of Allah. And these are the sincere ones. Ad-da'wa ila Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala, calling to Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala, is in need of those two elements mentioned in this verse. The first element is an unshakable faith and commitment to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and His Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. That's the first one. I talked to several imams yesterday as we're getting close to the summit. And one of the things each and every one of those imams have a concern with is developing soldiers around them. Developing soldiers, every single one of them. This was just yesterday. I talked to the imams, different imams that are attending, and some that can attend, and some that went before us outside the country. All of them had the concern, especially in our communities, of having soldiers around them. Every single one of them, as I was telling them, sometimes each and every one of them would feel as though they're the only one going through what they go through, which is couldn't be further from the truth. You're not the only one, right? This is a condition in our communities. So with the summit, one of the sessions, among many, but one of them is going to be dedicated to leadership, if I may use the word followership, and building communities and cooperating between communities. We're doing this series on the Black Imams Roundtable dealing with the history of Islam among Black Muslims. And one of the concerns is that, which we are missing today, let me emphasize this. One of the concerns or the things you're going to notice we talk about is going to be a theme that we are missing today is leadership and followership and cooperative communities. 3 things. We're missing badly, we're missing it. Leadership, followership, and cooperative communities. And I would suggest to all of us, right? There was a time, as one of the elders said, and I laughed when one of the younger brothers said that too. There was a time in our communities where we used to have the Hear and Obey brothers. I know that time because I was one of the Hear and Obey brothers. So I'm laughing just the expression, the Hear and Obey brothers. What is meant by that term? The Hear and Obey brothers got stuff done. Never ever was excuses. Get it done. That was the Hear and Obey brothers. I don't care what community you was in. I'm talking about in the Black community. The Hear and Obey brothers existed in every movement. Whatever they called it, whether it was in the nation, whether it was in the Moorish Science Temple, whether it was in Darul Islam, whether it was in Izzeddin Village, whether it was in the Ansar community, whatever Black movement you wanted to call it under the name of Islam, all of them had Hear and Obey brothers, every single one of them. Now we can go in and say, oh, this one was kafir, this one was misguided. Well, that's a total another discussion we not even ready to have, right? Because if we want to have that discussion, who is misguided, and we be honest, our community has been hoodwinked. So we all were suffering from portions of misguidance, every single group, right? But that's part of undermining the empowerment of our people, right? So that's just, there are degrees of it, but it existed for everybody. But that quality we had, we could get something done. You know, back in the day, and I'm not suggesting that we do the same thing, but I am suggesting that we do the same thing in a halal way. I'm not suggesting that we do the same thing they did. those hear and obey brothers. And when I say hear and obey brothers, the sisters are included in their role, right? Hear and obey brothers and hear and obey sisters in each of their respective roles. So I'm not suggesting we do what they did, right? But I'm suggesting we do as they did in every lawful means. Because sometimes that hear and obey was so strong that it was by any means necessary. And it meant that literally, by any means necessary, we will do what we have to do. And I know that very well. I was talking to one of our elders yesterday, and he was a leader. And he was a kid when he was an adult, but he was only in his early 20s. All them early movements, they were young people. We be forgetting that. They were young. They was in their 20s, mid-20s, early 30s, which is another discussion we need to have. All of those strong movements we saw back in the day, those people was in their 20s and 30s. And I want to show you something. You know, in the military, the American military, there's a cutoff age. There is. Because at a certain age, and I asked a military person, why is that? And his thought was that what he said, because at a certain age, people no longer listen. And when you're on battle, if you got people who don't listen, somebody's going to get killed. He said at a certain age, people don't listen no more. And if you don't listen on the battlefield, somebody could get killed. And when you look at that, what we don't realize is we're on an Islamic battlefield. And we are getting killed because we don't listen. As a community, this is not any individual community. We're talking about us as a whole. I played a video for you, I think it was yesterday or the day before yesterday, of our imam in California on the minbar at Jumu'ah, pouring his heart out, right? I called him yesterday too. Because we all go through it. Sometimes you need, the imams each need a shoulder to cry on sometime. So I called him. And he felt good that I called him and that I was concerned about his issue because I understand it, right? But we have to realize that we are at war for our deen, for our future, right? But we're on a battlefield without hear and obey people. You read the Quran from the time of the Sahaba, from the time of the Prophet ﷺ, to the companions, the rightly guided Khulafa. One of the things they were strong in is that they had hear and obey people, to the point that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told us in the Quran to hear and obey. Bena Israel was to say, Sami'na wa asayna, we hear and we disobey. Look, the believers, we hear and we obey. Right? When they used to take the bay'at, the allegiance with the Prophet ﷺ, among the things they would take allegiance for is as-sam'a wa ta'a, to hear and obey. We've become so westernized that these terms are offensive. Hear and obey, I'm grown. So were the companions of the Prophet ﷺ. They were grown too. So were all the Muslims in the past They were all grown. And they understood hear and obey. To the point, hear and obey is so important that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam told his companions that you're going to come across leaders that you dislike things about them. You don't like them. And they asked the Prophet, should we fight them? He said, no. No. He said, no. And in some narrations, as long as they established the prayer and other things, you could connect to that. But the underlining thing is that fighting against your leaders, number one, will remove obedience to them. And once you have no hearing, obey, no listening, no obedience, and everyone does what they want, you have chaos. Your community will be destroyed. Your society will be destroyed. If you look at the January 6th insurrection, that's what we don't hear, no hearing and obey looks like. If you saw the Arab Spring, when you get no hearing and no obey, that's what it looks like. You need to take a condition that is not visible, extremely plain in your eyes, and be able to transfer it to a physical reality. Our communities, in the Black community, especially, we're talking about them, other communities too, but we're talking about our communities, have insurrections going on in every single one of them. And we don't, because we ain't fighting, we don't realize how bad we're fighting. The Imam, he sees the insurrection. He's observing it. The people are just, we don't hear and we don't obey. We're not listening. So to them, it doesn't look like an insurrection. But if you look at the community and then you see the Imam begging for money, the building needs this needs to be fixed, and ain't no one doing it, that's insurrection. Do you understand my analogy? Then you have the concept, and every Imam goes through this too. Sometimes the Imam, it could be even a bad Imam, could be, right? But he would begin to think that you special. They opposing me. No, they're not necessarily opposing you. No matter who's in that seat, they get the same thing. It's not about you. Trust me. If you pay attention, sometimes you're in a better position than the one who was before you. I got things coming from Imams that'll make you cry. That you be like, yo, man, what kind of community you got? What kind of community you got? I have a community of rebels. Nobody hears and obey. Because I wouldn't do this to the community if I had people who listen, right? There was an Imam, I would say his name. He was Salafi. He's my friend. He's a Salafi Imam. So that should be strange to you. What? he's your friend. And he said, yeah, he's my friend. We cool, right? We disagree, but we cool, right? He's a brother. One day he told me something. He said, we were talking, and he said, he got kicked off the minhaj. You know that, you offer it, they got a list. Well, he was the leader of the list, and then they put him on the list. I'm sorry, that's funny. He was the leader of the list, and then they put him on the list. That's funny. Oh my goodness. He used to carry the list in his pocket, and they put him on it. uh, but so when they put him on the list, families left his masjid. His masjid was probably one of the most thriving masjids in the country for that community. For the Da'wah to Salafiyah, his community at one time was the most prominent community in the country. People used to migrate from all over the place to come to his community. I don't know, he did his own thing and they put him on the list, right? So he was telling me the story, right? Because one time we we hang out sometimes when we get the chance. So we went to breakfast, right? And we was in his area having breakfast. And everybody that was coming in there was looking at him, like even the people was looking at him like with disdain. I'm like, damn, what's going on, right? I was like, man, oh, you done made somebody angry. And he told me the story, right? What happened? And somebody came to him and they said to him, yo, man, yeah, everybody left you, like making fun of him. Everybody left you. They left your community. You was so hard. They left and now they gone and you ain't got nobody and boom, 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 boom. And look what he said. Check this out. This was powerful to me. He said, oh yeah, this is him telling me the story. He said, oh yeah, they at the other masjids. He said, yeah, they all at the other masjids. 40 families, families just left. And look what he said to him. He said, really? They had this masjid. He said, check the Sadaqah box. How has it changed? Now he's the Salafi version of Imam Amin. So you know how I speak my mind, and he do too. Right? I guess that's why we friends. We got the same personality. He said, check the Sadaqah box. And the person was looking like, what the heck that got to do with it? He said, check the Sadaqah box. In his check the Sadaqah box. He said, is it any change? Guy said, no, it's the same. He said, that's what I'm talking about. Bums. I'm glad they gone. Now, I'm not saying you say that, but he was so frustrated with it. He said, you got 40 extra families and ain't nothing changed. In fact, it's going to get worse. That's not me. That's not even Ash'aris, Ahlus Sunnah, Shafi'i, Hanafi, Sufis. Nah, that's the Salafi black community. You see my point? I wasn't talking about me. That's him. That's a whole nother community, but it's black folk. We have to get past that. So one of the sessions and one of the roundtables is concentrated on this issue because I believe this is one of our greatest obstacles that we must overcome as a community. That's my personal belief. One of the greatest obstacles that the Black Muslim community must overcome is the absence of hearing and obeying for a productive end for our community. That's one of our major problems. We have too many rebels. Nobody can tell nobody what to do. Nobody can tell nobody what to do. That's a problem. You don't have any chiefs and no Indians. No chiefs and no Indians. You know, say too many chiefs and no Indians. No, you don't have no chiefs and no Indians. Because in order to have the chief, somebody got to listen to that chief. There's no chiefs. Even the one who got the title chief ain't a chief, unless he's a chief for himself. And there's no Indians. That's something we have to fix. So look forward to a detailed analysis and solutions during the summit for this problem. Every day I'm going to highlight something else, but this is a major problem. That's why that brother, the imam in California, was on the minbar pouring his heart out to pay the taxes in their masjid and to fix up the masjid. And why they don't have no salaries, no one is supported, and why the old lady who gives all her energy in the masjid can't even get some sadaqah. And there's too many stories like this around the country. It's not just one place. Every imam can tell you these stories. And the result of all of that is a lack of leadership and followership. Can't just point the fingers. But it's a problem. Leadership and followership. So maybe we need sessions, follow-up sessions, just on what is leadership? What is followership? What does that really look like? Islamically and in our reality. Because most of us, unfortunately, don't live within the Islamic framework. We live in the non-Muslim framework with sprinkles of Islam. That's a whole nother topic because of the society we live in. Most of us, our biggest concern is our sustenance. That's our biggest concern for most of us. How I'm going to pay my bills, how I'm going to take care of my family, that's your biggest concern for most of us. It's such a concern that we don't even make it to the masjid because of it. It's such a concern that we don't even make it to the masjid because of that concern. I got to work. Dad, you work all the time? No, I got to work. And then when I get off work, I got to prepare for work again. And I don't have time for that. That's your whole life, Mr. Charlie? Most of our time is given to Mr. Charlie. And then whatever we can squeeze out, we'll give to the masjid. Right? It's a problem. We got to fix it. But maybe we don't know how. Maybe we don't know how to be leaders. Maybe we don't know how to be followers. maybe we need classes just in how to be a leader and how to be a follower, right? Maybe we don't even think about it. So we're inheriting leadership and followership without knowing how to do it or what it really looks like. So maybe that's why we ain't doing it right, because we don't know how to do it, right? What does it mean to be a follower? What does it mean to be a leader, right? That might be the problem. Because I look at myself, I have sheikhs, right? I have teachers. They do stuff sometimes I don't like, often, right? Some stuff I don't, right? But I cannot imagine them telling me something and me not doing it. I can't imagine it. Unless I'm totally unable. I cannot imagine Sheikh Samir telling me to do something and I'm able to do it and I say no. I can't even imagine that. It's not even a thought, even if it was hard for me. I cannot imagine telling him no with something I can do. I'm just not doing it. I don't feel like it. Huh? Say that again. I can't imagine it, right? I can't imagine any of my teachers telling me something and I'm able to do it, and then I say no. I can't imagine that. Whether I'm upset or not, I can't imagine it. Never. So this is just my thoughts. And I want to share something with y'all. No leader can do everything. No leader can do everything. Seriously, let me give you some advice. As an imam, I can speak in the voice of every imam, right? No imam can do everything. And in the Black community, in order to get something done, you unfortunately make the imam do everything. He can't. It's impossible. He can't be the imam and the janitor and the spokesperson in the community and the youth leader and the bank, the accountant and the treasurer. And no, 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 no. He can't. He can't do it. So sometimes you got to do it and stop suggesting what he should do. Why don't you go do it? And say, Imam, oh yeah, I'm supposed to talk about the three Tawheeds, right? Wow. Yeah, here's an Imam. Look, what do you mean by everything? Everything. What do you mean by everything? Everything. All right, Dr. Sabir, I gotta have some fun. Delegation with responsibilities. Right? Responsibilities. So when we get enough responsibilities, you can delegate it, but people don't want no responsibilities. None of them. You do all the delegating you want, they ain't gonna do it. They just say I ain't doing it. And know what that means when they say I ain't doing it? They telling the imam you do it. You do it. And look, I'm not doing it. That's it. No apology, nothing. I ain't doing it. And the imam is stuck with the bag. It was Super Bowl Sunday. I can't help you. I don't even like the Rams or the Bengals, but I can't do nothing in the match shit. I gotta watch the Super Bowl. I'm not coming down on us. I'm telling you a problem we gotta fix, and we gotta start working on it. But in order to fix the problem, you gotta know it exists, right? Now, you can't fix it now, and I got you. I got you. Supererogatories, right? Uh, okay. All right, let me quickly hit the three Tawheeds and then we get to our book, inshallah. I'm gonna bring the reader in a minute. So those three Tawheeds, I'm gonna do this real brief. We go into it later in more detail. All right, there we go. So I told you yesterday that this categorization is wrong, right? And it had an intent, right? This is the way Al-Wahhabiyya teach at Tawheed. So they say, I'm going to summarize, I'm not going into no details, right? We'll talk about it later, but I'll tell you the point, the end point. They say everybody, Muslim, non-Muslim, believes in Tawheed or Rububiyyah, that Allah is the Lord, right? So that's not sufficient for Islam to just believe that Allah is the Lord. They say you need this other type of Tawheed, which they call Tawheed al-Uluhiyyah, which means not only is Allah the Lord, but he doesn't have any partners or associates. So you don't make shirk. You don't associate, right? So what does that look like? That means you don't make a tawassul by the Prophet ﷺ or the righteous. You don't make a tabarruk by their traces, which is seeking blessings by their traces. You don't make dua at the graves of the pious people, even the Prophet ﷺ, because all of that is associating partners with Allah. So even though you believe in Allah, but because you do these things, you really are a mushrik. Even like the pagan idol worshippers that were in Mecca. Even though you say La ilaha Muhammadur Rasulullah, but you only have Rububiyyah, and you ain't no different than the idol worshippers, because you ask Allah by the status of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam or by the status of the righteous. You make istighatha, or you call on the righteous. You call on Allah through the righteous, or you seek blessings from the traces of the righteous, or you visit the graves of the righteous. All of this is kufr and shirk. So you don't have this second type of tawheed. So you really a kafir. Even though you pray and you fast, but your aqidah is shirk. And since you are a kafir, your blood is lawful, and we could kill you and take your property and your lands. That's what that means. So all of the Muslims, other than them, are idol worshippers and kuffar. That is obligatory to fight them and take their properties. Right? Until they come to our da'wah. Da'wat al-Wahhabiyya. Sounds familiar? Who did that sound like in our modern day time? Huh? Come on, let's think about it. We hear this right now. Who does that sound like in our modern day time? Say it again. I can't hear you, Sufyan. ISIS, Al-Qaeda, Boko Haram. That's where they get that stuff from. They got that from this. That's where they got the idea from this Tawheed categorization. That's the root where that came from. The third one, Tawheedul Asma wa Sifat, is designed to make you an anthropomorphist, to literally interpret the attributes of Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala. And then by way of that, since most Sunni Muslims among the Ash'a'ira and Maturidiyya don't do that, you can consider them deviant in the names and attributes of Allah. And if you don't take it literal, then you deny Allah's attributes. So in denying Allah's attributes, you are misguided, if not kuffar, or not disbelievers. That's the summary of that stuff. So what does it end up? It end up, if you're not Wahhabi, you're not Muslim, your property is not safe, your blood is not safe, and we must purify the earth from you idol worshippers, even though you say you Muslim. That's the summarized version of it. And if you go back and look at their origins during the time of Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahhab and his sons and his grandsons and the Saud family and their son, Muhammad ibn Saud, his sons and grandsons, you'll see this play right on out. If you study history, that's the summary of it, right? History, brother, I keep telling, I don't know why. I say over and over, y'all got to study history. Do you just listen and we don't go do the history work? You got to study history. Read, right? Go study the history of the Saudi Arabia from anyone other than the Saudis. Go study the history of the Saudi Arabian kingdom from anyone other than Saudis. Stop thinking all the Muslims were idol worshippers. They don't know nothing. You follow me? Go study history. All you got to do is study history. Why you think Donald Trump can go over Saudi Arabia and move around more than any other Muslim who's not Wahhabi? Donald Trump can move around Saudi Arabia more than some Muslim rulers, leaders, imams, sheikhs. They can't move around Saudi Arabia like Donald Trump. Scholars of our religion who are not Wahhabi cannot move around Saudi Arabia like Donald Trump can. It's obvious. All you got to do is look at history. I'm telling you, listen, especially us, African Americans, Black, we need to learn history. We can't be afraid of history. I'm not putting you, you know I'm not. I'm making it clear. We just listen and entertain, but we don't study. It's history. It's available. Go to your local library if you want it. Go to a college library. Go study. Do some real search. It's available. It's not hard. Right? right? Just get any book, not not written by the Saudis and their family, right? Even in English. Just go look up Wahhabism. There's thousands of books out there now, especially since ISIS and Boko. Go look at these books and read them. See the deals that were made with the British. This stuff is like, it's available. What happened is a lot of us, we got hooked by the so-called Wahhabi thing through new names, and now we no longer critical of stuff. That's like asking us, did the first so-called founding fathers and those who came on, did they not destroy the Native Americans? Most of us think actually we came here and we got the Christopher Columbus story. And you know, no, history is important. You got to study history. And in the Arabic is even more. It's so much. So I'm just giving you that summary. Is there any questions about that? I'm sorry. These are all important things. I guess I had scattered thoughts today, but I'm trying to get a few things. Are there any questions quickly? Rita, could you check the private chat? Those three Tawheeds originated most likely with Ahmed ibn Taymiyyah, but the way Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahhab employed them was much more severe. He took it another level, but the ideas basically came from Ibn Taymiyyah. But where Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahhab took it was a whole nother level. But the ideas were originating with Ibn Taymiyyah. As far as I know, with that structure, we don't find it earlier than that. As that structure, as far as I know. And if someone knows difference, they can show me. I always like to learn. Hold on one second. Okay. Questions. No questions. No. Would the three be valid if they were interpreted properly? No, because the whole purpose of them is a response to Sunni practices of at-tawassul, at-tabarruk, and ta'wil, which is a whole nother class. So that whole categorization is designed to oppose Ahl Sunnati wal Jama'ah in their beliefs and practices. So the practice of at-tawassul by the person who has died, the prophet or the righteous, asking Allah by their status, they oppose that, right? Ibn Taymiyyah opposed that. So that categorization was designed to consider that as an invalid practice. Or at-tabarruk, by the righteous, the way Ahl Sunnah do it. So that's Tawheed al-Rububiyyah and Uluhiyyah concept. Tawheed al-Asma wa Sifat is to go against a ta'wil and a tafweed in the way Ahl Sunnah do it, right? Because the tafweed of al-Wahhabiyyah and the tafweed of Ibn Taymiyyah before him is not accepted by Ahl Sunnah, meaning al-Asha'ira wal Maturidiyya, right? Because we have a tafweed of tafweed al-ma'na. We leave the meaning of those attributes to Allah. When we do a tafweed, we leave the meaning to Allah. Whereas al-Wahhabiyyah and Ibn Taymiyyah, they believed in the literal words and their literal apparent meaning, and they make so-called tafweed of the kayfiyah, of the how. So they say, yes, Allah literally has a hand, we just don't know how. Ahl Sunnah doesn't say that. That's Ibn Taymiyyah and the Wahhabiyyah who came after him, right? So they use that Tawheed Asma wa Sifat to deny the positions of creed of Ahl Sunnati wal Jama'ah among the Asha'ira wal Maturidiyya. Do you understand? Is that clear? So even it's the purpose of it, what it was intended to do, is mistaken in and of itself. So that's why when you have I don't even know what a contemporary Athari is, right? That's still not clear. What is an Athari? Athari got multiple meanings today. Athari is a new name for Salafi. Athari can mean Hanbali. Is that the Ibn Taymiyyah Hanbali? Or is it the Safarini Hanbali? Allahu Alam. I don't know. So before we can say the contemporary Athari, first we need to know what an Athari is and what Athari are you talking about? Do you understand that? So just to say Athari doesn't mean anything. You could be just talking about Wahhabi with a new name. Or maybe you're talking about, I don't know what an Athari is. Right? So you have to first define Athari. So define Athari, Farouk. What is Athari? What do you mean by Athari? Can you define? What is a contemporary Athari? Right? So when you say Ash'ari or Maturidi, you know exactly what you're talking about. That's not all over the place. Right? And first, before you can say what is the Athari, what do they say? I don't know. Because some Atharis, they do follow that. The Atharis of like a Safarini, they didn't have nothing to do with that stuff. Not mentioned in their books or nothing. But then in these modern days, they got Ibn Taymiyyah's ideas mixed with these ideas. Slice idea. It's a mess. I don't know. And sometimes I think they don't know, right? I think they know. They're not sure. So I don't know. I mean, they listening. They can answer themselves. They're listening. Trust me, they're listening. More of them are listening than probably us. They're listening. So let them answer. They could tell us what an FRE is to them. Let me say this, right? Don't be afraid to be wrong. Can y'all put that up? Don't be afraid to be wrong or mistaken. Can someone put that up? Don't be afraid to be wrong or mistaken. Right? Everyone copy that. Please. We need to understand this. I want to see it all filled up before I move on. Quickly, please. Because this is important. All right, right. Um, None of us know everything, right? None of us know everything. Every one of us are going to have a position at one time in something, and later, as we learn more information, that position is going to change. It should. At one point, you're going to, based on the information you have, you're going to think a certain way. You're going to believe a certain way. And then when you get more information that clarifies or contradicts the position you had earlier, if you're a sincere person, you will change according to the proper information. Y'all follow me in that? Everyone goes through that. That's life. You're not born knowing everything, and you're not going to die knowing everything. You know some things, and so many more things are hidden from you, no matter who you are, right? So that means in your life, you're going to be wrong or mistaken. Everyone. No one is free of that. I don't care who you are, right? Hey, Tycho, stop doing that before I have to block you, right? He's not well. Don't. He's a good brother, but he's not well. Don't block him out. Don't pay him no attention. But he's listening, so leave him. Just ignore him in his comments, right? But I don't want to put him out. Behave yourself before I have to block you because you're disturbing everybody. Look, uh, um, see, he done messed up my thoughts. No, all of us are going to be mistaken, right? Uh, all of us. So therefore, when we learn, we get new information, we examine it, we evaluate it, and then we adjust, right? We say that about ourselves, right? We say that about ourselves. They said with age, you get wisdom, right? Right? So that means at one point you used to do foolish stuff, right? Uh, and then you get older, you're like, man, I would never do that. I want to share something. I'll give you an example, right? I look at the youth today and some of the wild stuff they do, I'd be amazed, right? Right? I'd be amazed. But you know something? We used to do the same stuff, right? You used to do the same stuff. You got older and now and this stuff is insane to do, but you used to do the exact same stuff you blaming the youth about. The same stuff. They might be a little bit more wild than you. No, it ain't even that. You was just as wild as them. And the adults who were looking at you in your time were saying the exact same thing you saying today. What the heck is wrong with that boy? Right? You grew. You learned some more stuff. You developed. Everyone's like that. So when you dealing with knowledge, right? When you're dealing with knowledge, you're going to hold positions that may not be right. But until the information comes to correct that, you're going to hold that position because you think it's right. Now, the challenge comes when you learn better or you know better, are you going to do better? When information comes that obviously shows you that your position is wrong, are you going to change? That's the mark of sincerity, between sincerity and arrogance, right? When the Prophet ﷺ described arrogance, he said it's to reject the truth when it comes to you. That's a part of it. To reject the truth when you know it's right, but out of arrogance and stubbornness and sticking to your position, despite all the facts, you still won't say, I was wrong. You know, that's what made Malcolm X, Al-Hajj Malik Shabazz so great. He was a dedicated member of the nation, NOI. But when he learned better, he changed. And it cost him his life to change. But for truth, he changed. It cost him his life. He lost his life because he changed for the truth. What he understood to be the truth, it cost him his life. But his sincerity could not let him stay with something he knew was wrong. His sincerity. And we all got to develop that. Amen. No, none of us know everything. So that's why I said, I don't never mind talking to somebody. I believe I'm right. From my research, from my studies, and the issues I'm talking about, I believe I'm right. There is always the possibility that someone could show me some things I didn't know. And I welcome that. Right? I welcome that. Because I really want to be right. I really want to do the right thing. I really want to have the correct belief, the correct practice in Islam. So if you can show me, and I'm open for it, that my position is mistaken, I'm willing to accept. I don't want to be wrong. I'm not stuck on my position. Only I'm stuck on it if it's correct. If it's wrong based on the lack of information I had. So when I get more information, I may discover stuff I didn't know. Imam Ash'ari is the same thing. He was 40 years Mu'tazila. He was the sheikh of the Mu'tazila. And he changed. because he realized their position was wrong. You follow my point? Everyone goes through that. So don't be afraid to be wrong or mistaken. It's not a big deal. All of us go through it. The problem is when you know you're mistaken and it's obvious you're mistaken and you're just stubborn and you don't want to change. That happens to a lot of people. All right, in closing, y'all see me put the tickets up. I was, listen, before I put this up, I put the summit up. Let me remind you of the summit coming up quickly. I want to share something with you. I'm telling you, I'm going to share something with you. And anyone who's been in the cult will understand what I'm getting ready to say. Right? So we have today's Monday. We have 4 days left to the summit. Right? It's growing. MashaAllah. I want to thank all of you because in the beginning I was a little shaky. I was a little punch drunk. Y'all had me like, oh man, did I just waste all my money? Like I said, I'm getting ready to take me a big loss. But alhamdulillah, y'all came through. And this is going to be, inshallah, I feel it, is going to be a blessed gathering. Right? We want to have a ball, right? So please spread it. Everyone, the flyer's there, the link is there. Please share it, right? Let's get as many people as we can, right? We are already at a nice number, but we want to get as much as we can of our people because we need a gathering together to discuss our issues, right? So, alhamdulillah, so far so good. Inshallah, please spread it. With that being said, I'll just say this. Let me move this way. You want me to share your message, Amir? I thought that was private. You want me to make it public? All right, I'll do it. You give me ijazah to spread your business? Okay. I'll do it. You sure? No, I'm joking. Where you at? This is Brother Rebuilding Amir. He sent me a message yesterday morning. He said, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I just want to say thank you. This is Rebuilding Amir. He sent this to me yesterday morning. For years, you were made up to be a rival, some evil person. And all this time, you were trying to save the people. This journey that I am on is not easy when everything you thought you knew and loved is turned inside out and upside down. That's what he sent to me. Yeah, we all go through it. I understand. I went through it. I was going to tell you that. I remember I grew up in the Ansars. I'll tell you this story, right? So from a kid, like I was 10 years old, I was Ansar Allah community. And anyone from Atlantic City will know me well. I walk around in all white, garbed up. I was the only one in Atlantic City like that. I was a kid. I would go in all the neighborhoods. Most of the young people in Atlantic City learned about Islam through me. Most of these young guys, my age and a little bit older and a little bit younger in Atlantic City, most of them, especially in the projects, they learned Islam through me. Most of them, right? Most of them. They learned about the religion of Islam through me. I was the only kid that I roamed around every neighborhood in Atlantic City teaching and spreading. It was Ansar stuff. It was wrong. But that what we thought was Islam at that time, right? I would be in every single neighborhood. No one from the 80s, all of the 80s, would not know the young brother from Pitney, the guy in the white, right? Every single day, I was out debating and selling books, and so much that I could go in a rival neighborhood, right, and be accepted. And I'm from an area where we don't get along with nobody in the whole city, but I could travel to any neighborhood that's the good brother as a kid, right? And this is like a fact. Anyone from Atlantic City knows that. Like, I'm where I'm from is well known in Atlantic City, right? And where I'm from, the rest of the city was enemies to where I'm from, right? And I would be going in every neighborhood, in every single neighborhood, right? I moved to New York because I was too young to actually at the beginning to move inside in Brooklyn. But when I got old enough, I moved to Brooklyn, right? Right? Uh, so when I got to Brooklyn, I was a soldier all around Brooklyn, all around Philadelphia, Newark, Jersey City. That's Ansar life every single day, right? Uh, you out every day, you on the streets, peddling, fighting against so-called Sunnis, who I knew was Wahhabi at that time, but we thought they were Sunni, but they was actually Wahhabi now, and I know better, right? It was a struggle, right? So one night, this is our day in the Ansar community. You got to be, you usually get up sometimes after Fajr. We do our weird. We had our own little weird called the Ratib of Muhammad al-Mahdi. The Ratib of al-Mahdi is a man from Sudan. So we had a book that we used to read about, like a weird. It's a real weird. We used to read it every day after Fajr in congregation, in the masjid. Now listen, nobody missed Fajr, right? Not the kids, not the adults. Fajr in our community looked like Jumu'ah in the Ansar community. Fajr looked like Jumu'ah, right? In Brooklyn, you would walk in Brooklyn, and anyone who's from Brooklyn, 10 Weir, I think he's in here. You come 5 in the morning, sometimes 5:30, 6. You see white robes, kids, women in veils going to the masjid. Like, you would, if you looked at that, you don't see nothing like that in the country no more. Not like that. nowhere close, right? Uh, Order, right? This is the environment. You do that by 9 o'clock, you got to be out. By 9 o'clock, you got to be out the building. A man, I'm talking about. All men who were peddlers, so they had to hit the streets. Except if you can't make money, then we considered you a bum and you stand around and with the women and children and guard because you can't make money. It was sick, but don't worry about that part. But so we out by 9 o'clock. You got to go out, and every day you got to bring back $100 every single day. You cannot come back into the community until 9 o'clock, even if you make the $100. And if you don't make 100, you can't come back to 12 o'clock. So you got 3 hours to try to get your 100. But at 12 o'clock, you got to be back, whether you got it or not. Don't matter. 12 o'clock, you got to be in the house. I mean, back in the community, right? So that was our life every single day, 365 days a week. I mean, a year, excuse me. Maybe in the early days, we used to get the Eid off. Then that stopped. No, even the Eid, you got to go, right? But in the early days, we used to have the Eid off. That was the life. Wait a minute. Now, when you get back, you've been out all day, right? You've been up since 6, sometimes 5 in the morning, right? Then you have a 3-hour guard duty where you got to go stand in one of the properties, one of the buildings, and stand guard for 3 hours. So you either going to have 9 to 12 guard, 12 to 3 guard, 3 to 6, or 6 to 9. You're going to get one of those after pedaling all day long. You're going to get one of those guards. You got one. 9 to 12, 12 to 3, 3 to 6, 6 to 9. That's your life, right? So all of us were dedicated to that for years, right? I'm gonna tell you what happened to me. I was a kid. So one night, now I never really in those days, not everybody knew about Dr. York. He existed, but only the people who were in that stuff knew about it, right? Only the people who was doing it with him really knew about it. Till later, it was like a secret. Most people didn't. Most people in the mosque didn't know about that, right? They weren't aware. Till later, when he just put it out, then it was like, okay, some story came up. I remember it was in the late 80s when that happened, right? Uh, but I'm gonna tell you my own story. I'm talking about the right. I thought I was right. I had given I left my family, my mom, my brother, my sisters. Y'all not my family. If you don't live in the Ansar Law community, you not my family. We talking Jesus. We was a mess. But if you ain't in the gates of the Ansar Law community, you lost. That was how we felt, right? So that's a strong conviction. This ain't no loose stuff. You give up your family, you give up everything, right? And so one night I'm coming back from pedaling. It was late, maybe 11 o'clock at night. So I'm coming off the J train and I'm coming down from Broadway to like through Hart Street. This is irrelevant, but it's a back way to where it was the woman's house at that time, right? I never forget this to this day, and it was a long, long time ago, but it had an impact on me that I would never forget. Because Dr. York to us, we used to call him Imam Isa. We didn't even say Imam Isa. That was Abu, our father. That's how we used to say Abu. Abu said, I'm just giving you the conviction part of it, right? And so it wasn't like, "No, that's Abu." Abu said. And if I tell you some stories we went through, like you would say this, it was coldish, I granted, but we was dedicated, right? So me and my partner, because at that time we had a lot of fight with the so-called Sunnis, which I know now were the Wahhabiyya, right? We used to have a lot of conflict with them. So we used to have to go out in twos. Like you can't, because if you come back without a partner, you're gonna get in trouble. So what we used to do, because we got to make the money, and we used to do all kinds of stuff to make money. That's a whole nother story, right? Remember I told you hear and obey by any means necessary. So we used to do our stuff to make money, uh, right? And so we would go out together in group. Then everybody go, your partner, you go do your business, and I go do my business. Then when it's time to come back, we meet up together and we go back to the mosque together, right? Because they wanted you to, too. So if something happened, somebody can report. That was the idea. I know some of you would never imagine this type of life. uh, so one day we coming back, and me and my partner, we tight. We coming back, and we see a van on Hart and Bushwick on a corner, right? And the van is open. The back doors of the van are open, and there's two dudes. I never forget it. On one side of the doors and on the other side. And then there's a man and a woman in the back of the van where the doors open like that, kissing. The man got, you remember back in the day, they used to, what's them things called? You put the little girls they wear now, the little, they do the cornrows or the plaits, and then they put those uh, little plastic things, a bunch of them. What them things called? Uh, you do the little kids' hair, and they put those plastic things in them. I forget what they called. Beads. So back in the day, in the 80s, the singers, they used to have their hairs in that with the braids with all those beads in them. Remember like Rick James used to have with the beads? No, the beads. The men were dressing like that in the 80s, the singers. They have the thing and like the, beads. Anyway, go look at Rick James. You know what I'm talking about. Sometimes he had that stuff in his hair. That was the style, right? For them crazy singers. So is a guy back there like that kissing a woman. So as we getting, it's dark. So as we getting close, my partner says, I never forget it. He said, yo, that's Abu kissing this woman. She was like a regular, it was a singer. I don't want to put her business out there, but it was a singer, a known singer, a woman. And they were in there, and it wasn't his wife, from what we know, right? And they were kissing. So when my partner said, yo, that's Abu, I remember I was going to punch him in the face. And like, we almost got in a fight. Going back, I'm like, that's slander. That ain't no Abu. It was a mess. And I was getting ready to hit him, right? And he was like, man, don't be taking that on me. Look. And the two dudes that were holding the doors open, we knew who they were because they were the arch enemy of everybody in the mosque. They were his two right-hand bodyguards, right? And if anyone like real Ansars know this, it was Suleiman and Abdul Wali, right? They were the two guards. And in the mosque, the peddler guys, We hated them dudes, right? With a passion. That was, then. Everybody was in the same boat. We just didn't know it. So we knew them two, and that was him. I never forget it. That was the reason I left the mosque. And I remember when I got back to my building, the older brothers, they was like, yo, because I was young and I was distraught. Like, what the heck is this? Then they told this Bible story about the lamb must come out in the night. I wasn't buying none of that crap. Yeah, I know all that. I know all that, right? But I'm just giving you the story. I wasn't buying none of that because I was a soldier young boy, and all of us was the whole crew from my neighborhood. We were in the mosque together, soldier young boys, teenagers, but soldiers. And I was like, man, I ain't buying that crap, right? It really ruined my life, to tell you the truth. In a good way, it came out, see what I'm doing now. But my whole process, what I went through was because of that. It had devastating effects. I didn't care after that because I thought we was raising 144,000. The mothership was coming to get us. We was in it. And now you a fraud because we wouldn't do stuff like that knowingly. But when I look back, we used to do similar nonsense. But we were so gone in the brain that, you know, uh, I just remember the stuff, right? But that was then. Fast forward, I didn't really learn about real Sunni Islam and understand it till I was overseas. But I've been, in my mind, a Muslim all my life, basically, but knew nothing about all that stuff. But when I learned, alhamdulillah, I was an adult, I changed. Now, you would listen to me now, you wouldn't think that I've been through all that. Imam Amin is Sunni, Ash'ari, Shafi'i, Ahl Sunnah. But because of what I've been through made me the way I am. Like now I check. Heck no, I ain't going for the okie doke. Forget about it. I've been there, done that. We're gonna research, we're gonna check, and if we wrong, we fixing it. But we ain't doing that, right? So I'm saying all that all of us go through this stuff. The Salafi people are going through that right now. The Salafi people, many of them, I had several talks with people who were the sheikhs on the minhaj who got kicked off. They're going through it right now. To this day, right now, they struggling with that. Everybody was a deviant, everybody was a kafir, and we was on it, and then I became a deviant and kafir, and then I started studying and realized, dang, I was sadly mistaken. Yasser Qadi, and I usually don't mention names, he going through it right now. And he was the man for the Wahhabi doctrine, the face, the poster child. He going through it right now. Oh, there you go, Amir. I'm going to send you a video. Let me do it right now. You might not take it from me. You'll take it from him quicker. I just sent you something. Check it out. Look at this video. Right? I hope it goes through. Do you understand my point? So everyone's going to go through that. That's my whole point. Everyone's going to go through that in life. Imam al-Ghazali went through points where he's got to really like check everything out. That's the life. And that's not a bad thing. So I said all that to say, don't be afraid to be wrong or mistaken. The thing is, when you discover you're wrong and mistaken, make the appropriate change, right? Life is a journey. Knowledge is a journey. You're going to discover things. You're going to discover things. That's just life. Don't be tripping, right? So no matter how much you know, don't become arrogant, right? Because it's still more to learn, right? But as you learn, you follow what you need, right? That's life. If y'all get my point, is my point clear? Now I had to pour all my heart out. Farouk not going to talk to me because he's still wounded, right? Uh, it's life, man. And we got a lot of people going through this. The same thing I'm talking about in different groups, same stuff. People messed all up, emotionally broken, but it's all a plot, I believe. Shaitan is working. We just got to figure our way through it. You know? It's cool. We could do it, right? It's cool. We can make our way through it. We all right. Allah got us. We just got to do our part. Jahid to shahid. Struggle and you will witness. Yeah, KMD. I used to walk them when they used to walk around the mosque. They used to be on my block a lot. They would come around and they would hang with Jazzo, Jay-Z, all of them guys in those days. Before Jay-Z was Jay-Z, Jay-Z used to hang around the mosque. I lived on the same street with Jazzo, the guy who really was Jay-Z's mentor. All of us lived on the same street. So I used to watch them before they were famous. Right? But that was the black thing in New York. The Ansars was people that was on black time, and it was a movement in those days. Yeah. I mean, it is. But I'm telling you, one of the things, this is my extended scattered thoughts. I'm sorry. I'm just, because I look like this. I was telling the elders, I talked to two elders, both of them, they over 70. I'm going to have them on, inshallah, since it's Black History Month. We're going to try to bring some of our elders on and let them tell their stories. Both of them, well, I talked to three, all of them over 70 years old, some of them over 75, right? Been talking to them about this history stuff because they lived it and they were leaders, not followers. They were leaders in all of this stuff. And all of them could tell you similar stories. Different, but it's all the same, right? I talked to one imam and yesterday, he was so raw. I was like, dang, but I appreciate it. And I didn't cut him off like, ho, ho, ho. I'm Imam Amin, Ak. You got to talk with a little bit of more sunnah. I let him be him. Just go for it, Ak. And you can hear the pain of 50, 60 years of struggle. That's the way I say it. You can hear the pain of 60 years of struggle trying to be right while dealing with our people. right? It ain't an easy job. You're going to lose your hair. You know, I've been the lead imam for 10 years, 11 years now. No, 12 years. 12 years. I've been the head imam. Before that, I was assistant. I'm serious. Go get some pictures. When I became the imam, my whole beard was black. I had hair. Seriously, if you go take pictures, Imam Naeem, did you notice that? I used to have all black. Doing this job, I lost my hair, gray. SubhanAllah, it's work, right? It's work. And I was listening to the older brother. I was like, dang, going through it. It's a struggle, you know? So, but we got to keep going, right? We got to keep going. All of us. That's why I love Imam Siraj. You see how gray he is, right? Look at that picture. All gray. But he's still soldiering, right? I love Imam Siraj. Everybody loves Imam Siraj, right? But he's been doing this for 50 years or more. Like 50 years. You know how hard that is? 50 years of dealing with our stuff. 50 years of dealing with what we got to deal with. And he's still dealing with it today. The same thing for 50 years. He's incredible. You don't have to agree with everything. But as a brother to brother, us as a people, you got to respect that. You don't have to agree with every way he do things. You don't have to agree. But you must respect the service and forbearance and patience and dedication and diligence. You know how many changes he had to go through in 50 years? To still be going at it? Through sickness, through illness, through lack of support, and still going? You gotta respect that. You have to. You gotta respect that. Whether you agree with everything he say or not, but you gotta respect that. You have to. If you can't respect that, something wrong with you. And when I was talking about leadership and followership, that's an example of leadership. He's an example. You cannot take that from him. Nobody's perfect. People got mistakes. People still need things they need to learn. But you gotta respect that. Because, right? You gotta respect that stuff. And we gotta become like that. Right? I've been around a long time too, but I ain't been a leader that long. He's been in leadership dealing with this stuff for that long. You know, that's a long time. And leadership is a different whole ball game when you just in the group or in the congregation. When you're the leader, it's a whole different ball game. That stuff got to be respected. And what has been taken from us is the respect for our elders. And we got to restore that too. You know, because with all that service, uh, all that service is an example for us. the good and the bad. We learn from the good, we correct the bad. We learn from the good, we correct the bad. But if we're wise, especially our next generation, we better preserve our history and let them see what they went through and what was the outcome. And we better show them another way to improve on it. History is so important, even the bad parts of it. History is important. Whoever doesn't learn from history is doomed to repeat it. Whoever does not learn from history is doomed to repeat it. So we got to take lessons. We got to humble ourselves. All this idea is, man, they wasn't on it. They don't speak Arabic. They ain't sit with the sheikhs. I know, but they learn life. Something you, with all your Arabic, all your sitting with your sheikhs, all your chains of narration, you don't got that yet, young boy. You got a lot to learn about life, about how to deal with our people in the belly of the beast. You got a lot to learn. We do. And it would be great that you take all that stuff and add it to the experiences we have so you can help. This life, man. Serious, real talk. We can sit around and press each other all we want. At the end of the day, show me. Show me. I hear you. Show me. At the end of the day, that's where it comes. How all that stuff really made a difference. We got work to do. This is what my vision of the summit is. All this stuff and us coming together, working together, using all our resources to improve ourselves on the ground. Right? That's what we have to do. To me, that's the summit. Us coming together to fix ourselves, to improve ourselves, to empower ourselves, to see our resources, to connect and acquaint ourselves with each other. Some of you would never have the opportunity to meet all of these people, right? Never. But when we all come together and you see that we're all really one family and we can relate and you can intermingle, you can mix, and we got all that set up so you can have time to sit, to talk with the teachers, to talk with the brothers, to talk with people from different parts of the country, to share ideas. That's what this stuff's about, right? To learn from one another, to learn best practices, to learn worst practices so we can avoid them, right? To meet people who have common ideas in different places. That's what this stuff's about, right? That's how we empower one another, right? We got to think bigger than we are, seriously. We're not failures. It may be a struggle, but we can do it. And even if we don't do it, we should plant the seed so that those who come after are able to do it. Even if we don't do it. Let's plant the seed. Let's do what we got to do. Let's not be so daggone selfish. So you know what? I know we messing this joint up, but we're going to make it so that the next generation is in a better position to us to handle it. Like, just have that at least. We don't got to be so selfish, right? We do not have to be so selfish. So inshallah, let us make it happen. Uh, so today's Monday. Man, these days go fast. So tonight, Sheikh Walid Rifai and myself, with discussing our deen. Uh, inshallah. And then Tuesday, the Black Imams Roundtable, we have a special guest for Tuesday and Wednesday. We're going to 2 days this week because we're actually motivating and for the yes, there will be post Fajr reflections in the masjid during Saturday and Sunday. So Saturday and Sunday in the morning for Fajr, there will be post Fajr reflections in the masjid because the events, they don't start till like 10 o'clock in the morning, but we have to pray and we have to. So we're going to meet in the masjid after Fajr, Saturday and Sunday. And even Monday, because some people still will be here, right? So, but that'll be announced. So don't come here to sleep, right? Uh, come here to really maximize your time, right? Because I would take advantage of all these people. Some of the sisters, you're gonna have Sheikh Aisha Prime, I would be connecting, networking, doing meeting people around the country. Do your thing. People coming from all over the place. But the one who's sleeping ain't gonna get that done, right? Wake up, get busy. There's only 3 or 4 days you can go without a whole bunch of sleep. All right, inshallah. I'm going to see y'all tonight, inshallah. Barakallahu feekum. Please register. Will there be food for sale? There will be some things for sale, but as you know about Masjid Muhammad, I don't like to charge, right? So lunch and dinner will be free. I don't like charging us. I think we should just donate and do things so everyone can benefit, not only the people who got money. I don't like that, right? I really don't. It disturbs me that we make Islam, because we're lazy, that only the people with money can benefit. If you don't have money, sorry, can't help you. I hate that. I believe we should all come together so that we all can enjoy. Yeah, you can pay at the door, but I would suggest you pay because the door fee is going to be more, because it's not fair that everyone had to sacrifice and then the others don't sacrifice. And then they come and get the same as the one who sacrificed. It's not fair. So I would suggest that you register, but it will be available at the door, but the fee is going to be more. Not greatly more, maybe $25, just so we can be fair. Because you know us, I could have hold my money, and now here you come, it's the same price at the door, and I came early, and we don't want to go through all that. You know us. Don't act like you don't know us, right? So everybody gotta help. The online thing, we don't have internet, and I don't know how that's going to work. So I can't promise. If it's something we can do, some of it will be online. Not all of it. I can tell you that for sure. We're not going to get everything, but some things, some highlights, maybe some sessions we might can put online. But the logistics may be too difficult. Right? But here's my dream goal, right? Objective. That we can do these things together, support our institutions for totally free because we take care of our institutions, right? We donate so that all of us can benefit. That's what I would like to see. That we say, okay, how much is it going to cost to put this event on? 30,000? Okay, we did it. And let's just do it. Everybody's invited, right? That's how I would like to see it. Because all year we did what we need to do together. We supported our institutions. We support Masjid Muhammad. We did what we had to do. We support it and we come together and we say, you know what? It's free. Don't worry about it. Everybody's welcome. This is da'wah. Let's do it. But it takes everyone to do their part, right? Even if it's a little. But if everyone did their part, we could do that. But we can't do that if everybody's not doing their part, and everybody's not doing their part. Let me be honest, the majority of us are not doing our part. And you ask any imam in our communities, if they be honest, they'll say not a lot of us are doing our part. Because they would like to do a lot of things, but they don't have the support to do a lot of things. So with that, I say, hey, your donations help others. Some person, may Allah reward them, I forget their name, so, but maybe they didn't want their name out anyway. They bought 2 tickets for people who couldn't make it. They didn't have the money. They bought their ticket and 2 more tickets for the people who couldn't make it. If those of us who had means would do things like that, then those who can't make it can make it because we helped. And it doesn't put all the burden on the masjid, right? It doesn't put all the burden on the masjid, right? Right? All of these people coming, they don't live in Atlantic City. So you got flights, you got hotels. So that got to be paid for, right? And if we be fair, they're taking out their time to come be with us. Shouldn't we give them a little gift? Shouldn't we? I'm asking you. All of these people, they're sacrificing their weekend. They're traveling from all over the country. I'm talking about just the speakers to give us, to teach us, to educate with us, to give us access to our leadership. Wouldn't it be nice that we just give them a gift for that? Though they're not demanding anything, shouldn't we do it? Shouldn't it be like just a given? They shouldn't even have to think about it. Like, y'all coming and we're going to take care of y'all too. That should be a given. You know what some of us say? Why they got to get paid? Huh? Are you serious? Yeah, I'm serious. Why they can't do it free sabilillah? Free sabilillah. Dad, really? That's how we doing it? That's how we doing it? And you wonder why our communities are the way they are. Because that's how you're doing it. That's your thought. You really think like that. How are we gonna get anything done with people like that? Really? People leaving their families, leaving their kids, sacrificing, and we just, hey, and we would tell them get your own flight, get your own rental car, get your own hotel, and come serve us. I'm telling you, this is how we be talking. This sad. If you get my point, we got to do better, people. Seriously, we got to do better. We have to do better. This is serious business, man. It's almost laughable when you think about it. For any normal, civilized individual, that stuff is laughable. All right, I'll stop. I've been going a little bit too long. I can talk about this stuff all day because I actually want to see something change, right? I want to see a change because if we change, we could do a lot. We could do a whole lot. So I never been a person to quit. I'm not a quitter. Even if it hurts, I'm not a quitter. I'm a fighter, right? We're going to rumble to the last man. That's just how I am, right? And I believe in us because I've seen us do great things. In my little lifetime, I've seen our communities do great, amazing things. And I believe in us. I do, with all my heart. With all our shortcomings, all of our trauma and drama and all the stuff we got, I still believe in us. I believe we are great people. And I believe the nation of Muhammad, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, needs to see us stand up. And when we get it right, the whole nation's going to follow. I believe that. I don't believe we are wasted people. But it's going to take work. All right, see y'all tonight. May Allah reward y'all. Jazakumullahu khairah for your time and your energy. May Allah reward you all. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh.